A recent study by a Rand Corp researcher and two academics found that couples who scored well on a simple three-question test that measures basic numerical ability accumulated more wealth over their careers than couples who scored poorly. Now, I'm sure you're thinking, what are those questions and how would I do on that test? Question number one, if the chance of getting a disease is 10%, how many people out of 1,000 would be expected to get that disease? Question number two, if 5 people have the winning numbers in a lottery and the prize is $2 million, how much will each of them get? And question number three, if you have $200 in a savings account and the account earns 10% interest per year, how much would you have in the account at the end of 2 years? The answer to the first question is that you would expect 100 people to get the disease. In question number two, the 5 winners would each get $400,000. And the answer to question number three is that at the end of 2 years, you would have $242 in the savings account. Let me point out a couple of other intriguing findings of this study. The researchers also looked at which spouse was more likely to be the primary person in charge of the family finances. What they found, and this may not surprise many women, was that there appears to be a distinct bias toward men handling the finances, even if their wives scored higher in the numeracy test. For example, in instances where a wife scored a 3 and a husband scored a 1, hubby still oversaw the finances 50% of the time. When the wife scored a 3 and the husband scored a 2, the husband was still in charge 58% of the time. Okay, you might say, so what's the harm? The guy gets to make the money decisions even if he's not as financially adept as his wife. Well, it turns out that having the less numerate person in charge, whether it's the husband or the wife, can be costly. Indeed, in instances where the lower scoring spouse runs the finances, average wealth was $632,000 versus $713,000, where the higher scoring one is in charge. So what, if anything, are we to make of this research? First, if nothing else, I think this study highlights the value of knowing some basic math. To compare the various options you may be presented with, it helps to have a working knowledge of how to calculate percentages and the value of compounding returns over time. It's also a good idea to familiarize yourself with the ins and outs of various aspects of financial life, saving and borrowing, buying a home. And don't forget learning about different types of investments, too. You can find useful, easy-to-read primers on all these topics and more at the Money 101 section of our website. Second, this research shows that it's important not to slip into stereotypes of gender roles or automatically assume that the person who, for whatever reason, naturally gravitates toward making the financial decisions should be the one in charge. Ideally, you want the person who has the greater felicity with numbers and is more adept at analyzing financial alternatives to be taking the lead, or at the very least having a say in major financial decisions. Finally, while the study doesn't get into this issue, I think a perfectly reasonable takeaway from the research is that spouses should collaborate on financial decisions, or at least keep each other well informed about the family finances. If you'd like to take a closer look at the findings of this study, which has the catchy title, Financial Decision Making and Cognition in a Family Context, you can find it by searching for it by title at rand.org. I'll warn you in advance that it can be a bit of a slog, but who knows, maybe you'll find some insights there that can help your family boost its financial prospects in the future.